Welcome to Chatterbox Bearcats, everyone. Last football edition of the season before we turn our entire attention to the hoop season. And we'll give Lily, Niehaus, and Houdini one final chance to react to this dumpster fire of a football season. But that's what it was. For anyone that says it was better than last year, we saw signs of progress. Both teams are going to miss out on a bowl game. There is a loophole that a 5-7 Cincinnati team could potentially get in, but both teams are going to hit their under win total. This year it was 5.5. They were sitting at 5, entering a Colorado game, 5-2. The Bearcats rattle off 5 straight losses to end the season, plagued by the same mistakes again today. It was turnovers. It was special teams. It was clock management at the end of the game. Just a disaster class once again from the Cincinnati Bearcats, with the Boo Birds back and about 5,000 loyal fans sitting through the snow in a game that was, quite frankly, uninspiring for a lot of it. Fright from the end from the Bearcats, which is what they've done this year, man. You can't knock them on that, but team just has not been good enough. You want the story of the last 2 years encapsulated in one play? It was Evan Prater. Evan Prater, our potential quarterback of the future when he came to campus 4 years ago, Mr. Ohio, supposed to be a damn good quarterback. For an entire season, UC fans wanted to see him over Ben Bryant. We saw Evan Prater. It did not go well, so much to the point where he was playing receiver. He gets his opportunity, a reverse pass, and throws a dime to Jamoy Mays. A dime, the best pass of the entire night. And Jamoy Mays dropped it. Prater on senior day could have made his moment, and a dropped pass ruined it. Something always ruined it this season, and something has always ruined it the last 2 seasons with Scott Satterfield as our head coach. A few plays later, Sorsby throws an interception when UC's in the red zone. I mean, you can't continuously make the same mistakes over and over. They did. Sorsby went on a Mike Vick drive to give us some, the signature Cincinnati hope special, because we get that in every sport. They always give you just enough hope. I mean, did you not see it with the Chargers-Bengals a few weeks ago? We get hope. Hope never delivers. It promises delivery and doesn't give it to us. 2 missed extra points that looked like a kid from the McAfee segment because of the snow from Nathan Hawks. Can't really blame him there. It was pretty brutal out there, but the way he missed it was not good. How about Brendan Sorsby? The statistics look as such from him today. He went 21 of 33 for 160 yards, 1 interceptions, no touchdowns, rushed it 12 times for 83 yards and a touchdown. His legs have me excited. The arm, I don't know what's happened to it. It's regressed quite a bit. And in the first half, only threw it 7 times, which I found just fascinating that he only threw it 7 times. And then second half, he goes, 26 times in the second half. First half, he had 30 yards, 160 in the game. So they tested out his arm a little bit in the second half. But, man, it goes from virtually 0 turnovers the first half of the year to a lot down the stretch. This was actually pointed out by one of my sources that has nothing to do with the Cincinnati program, but he was watching the game and scouting a little bit, said that a couple weeks ago, Sorsby was handing off right-handed for runs that should have gone with the left. So I don't have any tinfoil, but if you want to put on the hat, you can wonder if he's got like a left shoulder injury or something that he's been playing through. But if he's got any sort of an injury, man, they ask him to run the ball on design quarterback runs quite a bit to be dealing with any sort of an injury. So I think that is just probably a conspiracy theory. But you got to point to something. Like, how did this regression happen? He again made some bad plays today. That play in the red zone, it ends up costing them. They could have had points there, no doubt about it. Sorsby, 426 yards in that game against Texas Tech. And they trust his arm so little that he threw it 7 times in the first half. And they opted to run it on a very crucial 3rd down. It was 3rd and 10, and they opted to just run the ball. I don't know. I see some strange things. Today in the first half, UC's at like the 42, 4th and 1, and Satterfield, after having the offense out there to go for it, last second he sends out the punt team. It's like, dude, you haven't punted on the road all season. You went for it against Iowa State in Ames at like the 27-yard line on the first drive of the game. on 4th and 1. And you're going to punt there? Some of the decision making, there's no rhyme or reason. I don't know. It's like he's got his own feel for the game. I mean, he's the one calling the plays, and his feel just has not been right a lot this season. When the feel is going right, Pittsburgh, there's some halftime adjustments made by the other team, and you lose down the stretch. Like, either Brennan Sorsby's hurt, or you better seriously find someone to come in and compete with him for the job. I think. If Satterfield doesn't, I mean, he's asking to not have a job in 12 months. If that's, I mean, what he was. Yeah, I mean, he was dropping dimes at the beginning of the season. But the cumulative of it all, when you add in the last 6 games, which he was underwhelming, he was a bottom-tier Big 12 quarterback for a bottom-tier team. That's just the honest assessment of the season he had. Great start to the year. We were claiming on this show NFL Sunday, dropping dimes like Joey B. Just wasn't good at the end of the year. And you want to point the finger to, well, he was probably playing hurt. You better make sure. And you better get someone in to compete, because Sat's running out of time. If it's not this year, I don't know how many more years we can take this as Bearcats fans. Apathy is the only thing worse. Irrelevancy is the only thing worse than being pissed off. That's what I feel. It's apathy. I'm not angry. I'm excited for the Hoops team. Like I said, look at this thing. Is that an Arrington Page jersey? I'm just going to hold this out the entire rest of the show. So the question is, are we going to get another culture shift from Scott Satterfield? And I should probably mention the score. I think I went the entire show without mentioning that TCU did win the game 2013. Cincinnati's 5-7, 3-6 in the conference. Season very, very likely over. So are we going to get another culture reboot from Satterfield in the offseason? Because that was the storyline last year entering the summer, was completely new guys. We had 45, 50 newcomers, new culture. The Fickle era completely gone for the most part, aside from some seniors that were recognized today. And shout out to them, first of all, Corey Kiner, Dante Corleone, Jared Bartlett, the guys that came in, Eric Phillips, Mason Fletcher. List goes on and on of people that played very significant games. Like, let's not forget, I saw Mason Fletcher tweet out, my time in Cincy has been nothing but special. And he's using pictures from the AAC championship game with Houston and the college football playoff. And it's like, oh yeah, this class did that. It feels like a while. This game was buried, on the nightcap of ESPN Plus with a broadcast team I had never seen in my entire life. And I was in the industry for a decade. Never heard of either of those two. Not that they did a bad job or anything. It's just this was that type of game. It's just irrelevant. And that kind of sucks, considering a lot of those guys played on teams that had big-time wins and big-time games. But that's just the nature of what we have right now. So are we going to get the culture reboot? If not, what? I'm not a talk about letting someone go guy unless you have a better option in play. You look at a guy like Cignetti, what he does at IU just changes the culture completely. UC's had some of those guys. I mean, Brian Kelly changed it completely. I mean, D'Antonio set a pretty nice foundation, but Kelly comes in, takes him over the top. You saw Luke Fickell do it. Like, coaches, it's not always instant, but I feel like it's usually within the first 2-3 years. And you usually at least see some signs in that second season. All we saw was the same things that plagued us year one, that were the same remarks I heard from Louisville fans entering this season. The exact same thing. Groundhog's Day. So, what do you do? What do you do? Do you go with another year of Satterfield where he may win 6 games, get you to the Pop-Tart Bowl? I say no. I say you need a spark. This guy just isn't it. I felt that way last year. And maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for Scott Satterfield to be the next Nick Saban and has just an illustrious career in Cincinnati, or even just a few good years in Bolt somewhere else. If Scott bounces back from this, I'll be stunned and I'll be very happy. But the guy isn't it. I'm like 40% on my all-time takes. I'm batting all right. He's not it, folks. My proposal, because you got to have the backup plan if you're willing to do it. John Summerall, outstanding young coach at Tulane. When I covered Kentucky, he was the linebackers coach there. and spent a few years at Kentucky. He goes to Troy, taking over for Neil Brown after Neil Brown leaves. I think the timelines are correct there. But he takes over at Troy and leads them to like 10-win seasons back to back. Comes to Tulane, his first season there. Tulane has 9 wins. Seen as the complete package, a sharp defensive tactician, a skilled recruiter, a charismatic leader known for building and maintaining strong team cultures. I don't even want to bash Satterfield for the culture because I don't feel like the culture is bad or anything. Seems like everyone was pretty fired up for their last game at Nip and wanted to get a W. They're just not good enough. That's life sometimes. They're just not good enough. If he's going to turn them around in year 3, I mean, sure, you can give him the opportunity to do that. But if you're John Cunningham, you got to look at yourself in the mirror here. This is a defining moment. Do you think he's the guy? Can we afford another year of this? Irrelevancy. Because that's what it felt like towards the end of this year, irrelevancy. Now, Lily, our guy, would disagree with me. He'd say, no, it was just a few plays here and there. We just had a few inopportune fumbles and muff punts. It was all season. At a certain point, that many reps, it becomes a pattern. I don't know. It seems like coaching to me. On to the next one. Couple notes that I had from the game today. The Bearcats sliding around with the gold chain in the snow kind of reminded me of that game where the Bearcat got arrested for throwing snowballs against Pittsburgh in 2010. That was the last game of Butch's first season, and the vibes kind of felt similar. Felt like there weren't many people at that game either. The difference, that was Butch Jones' first year. The team before that went to the Sugar Bowl. The team before this year's team sucked as well. So that's 2 straight years where I've kind of felt apathetic by the last game of the season. So that's how I felt. I love the Cats. I wanted them to win. I wanted a bowl game. I wanted it for the guys in the locker room, but they didn't have it. They didn't have it. I do wonder how Sorsby racked up 426 against Texas Tech, how we beat Arizona State. Now, mind you, Arizona State, UCF back-to-back were with backup quarterbacks. And aside from that, our wins were Houston, Miami, Ohio, and Kennesaw State. So we beat backups and scrubs pretty much all season when you think about it that way. So that hot start that we had at the very beginning of the year does not look good right now, especially with the way we ended it. Bearcats were favorites in this one against TCU. Don't ask me how the spread makers came up with that one. TCU controlled. TCU really did control. So I mentioned the special teams disaster class. Bearcats running into a punter. Then Jamoy Mays touches the punt on the bounce. It's recovered by TCU at the Cincinnati 31. Leads to the Horned Frogs' first touchdown. Mistakes. I brought up a 3rd and 10 handoff. They lost a yard. The fans started booing. The team it wasn't fun to watch this season. It wasn't fun to watch. I mentioned the not going for it on 4th and 1. So, yeah, that's just what it is. It's a sad senior send-off with more fumbles in the game today. Sports are all about memories. I can handle average teams if they give me memorable games, if they give me memorable moments and things that, I can point back to. Like, that was a fun season. Remember, they were scrappy. Remember that team? Remember that game? You know what I'm going to remember this season for? Blowing a massive lead in Pittsburgh. I'm going to remember for the victory bell was cool. Taking that, last one in the home and home. But I'm going to remember a missed field goal against Texas Tech that could have tied it up. I'm going to remember a collapse against Iowa State down the stretch and ass kicking against Kansas State. A very hyped up game against Colorado that shifted in the first half because of another coaching decision where they went for it on 4th and 1, but don't go for it on 4th and 1 today. Like, look, there were a lot of fans at that game today at the beginning. At the end, the snow, the record, the time, it all made sense for not that many people to hang around when you knew that the Bearcats weren't probably winning that game. But there were a lot of fans in the game today. There were a lot of fans packing Nip at night. They've come a long way in terms of fan support. The fact that many people showed up to support a team that was, how many times am I going to use the word irrelevant in the national scheme of things? Irrelevant. UC fans would not have done that 20 years ago. So the program, from that sense, is in a good spot. There's still excitement. I'm sure there's still money around the program. The last thing you want to do right now is for all momentum to be gone. Have another year of this where 5 games into next year, we're like, we told you, John, you knew what you were working with. That's the last thing you want right now. because there's no progress from last year. Tonight felt like a funeral. A lot of these seniors were in a playoff. Fletcher, Phillips, Corleone, playoff. Today, it was ugly. It was ugly how quickly it changes. So, is Cincy going to make a move? That's the question. Let's go to the chat. I haven't looked at the chat the entire time. I've just been rattling off some facts into the camera. We got Natty Ron. The coach from Tulane would be nice. Yeah, Summerall's nice, man. And you never know with coaches. You truly never know. But I just want some energy, some different energy. I don't think Scott's going to figure it out. I think he could win 6-7 games. I don't think he's a terrible coach. But what do we want? We've been a program that's thrived on the up-and-coming leapers that use it as a stepping stone. Why get away from it now? When we've gone otherwise, when we've gone with coaches we thought could stay here for a while, because I don't think people thought Sat was, Bolton. He's an older dude. Between Sat and Tommy hasn't looked good. Should have hired Dion. Yeah, I don't know if that one was ever happening. That was hindsight's always 2020, but that one would have been a ballsy hire at the time, no doubt. It's worked out well. We got Pluto saying send Scott back to Boone, North Carolina. It's over here. They revere him in Boone, North Carolina. They think he's literally, Kirby Smart. We got, don't even mention that clown's name, Butch. Yeah, the victory reps. When I was covering the Vols team in Tennessee, you want to talk about a toxic culture. Like anyone that thinks Cincy fans are toxic, we are nothing compared to Tennessee. After they let Butch go, they had the whole hiring where their athletic director, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyways, he goes out and is bringing in Mike Leach, rest in peace, and went rogue. And basically they said, no, you're not bringing Mike Leach in here, and just canned him. And then they brought in Schiano, and they had the hashtag Schiano, and basically said that he was involved in the Penn State scandal. The fans came in, and Clay Travis and Tony Basilio ran him off. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Well, before that, I was covering the team, and Butch Jones, there was a dilemma because Shy Tuttle or someone had a black eye and was saying, they asked, like, how'd this guy get a black eye? And Butch said, oh, he tripped over a helmet. And basically a source called BS. And that was the talking show point for the week. And Butch comes out the next week. Whose side are you on, media? Like, do you not want us to win here? And everyone's like, no, we don't care. We're not from here. We went to Syracuse. We're just trying to grow our careers. So, yeah, this is the big thing. They can't fire Satterfield unless they have a donor paying him millions. He's not getting paid that much in the grand scheme of things, but where he gets kind of a lucrative deal is in that buyout clause. They didn't give him a ton of money. They gave him a decent bit of money in terms of the buyout. Maybe not comparatively to everyone in the Big 12, but I don't know. I think a lot of people saw this forthcoming. That's the biggest thing that has people pretty pissed off is not that many people love the hire from the get-go. And it's easy to sit and play armchair athletic director we don't like that. Oh, that's cool. Technology, baby. How about that? It's easy to play armchair athletic director, but I think a lot of people saw that this one was not going to end well. And, season 2 didn't end well, folks. Season 2 did not end well. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. We do this after every single football and basketball game. Football season finito. We move on to the hoop season. Number 16, Cincinnati Bearcats. Man, I guess one correlation that we can make from Wes to Scott was Wes's second year when he brought in the Kahlua Zipgays and the Rob Finnesseys and retained Jarrett Hensley and just McGinnis, I think, may have been on the team. I was pissed. I was pissed at the time. I was saying, how do you go through a full year were they in the Big 12 at the time? A full year in the American, and then think you can run it back year 2 for another year in the American with the exact same roster plus Landers Nolly. And you think that Finnessy and Kalu and all these, and the talent evaluation, I wasn't so sure on it. But I love the fact that I love the personality, the fire. He made me believe. Does Scott make you believe? Does he make you believe that he's truly the guy that's gonna going to spark this thing up in the right direction? Or could that be John Summerall? And would John Summerall even come to Cincinnati? Because he's been rumored to be in the North Carolina job discussion. Is that a better job than this one? I don't know. What would your backup plan be? But the biggest thing is someone out there, maybe someone that's watching the show on the Saturday night. You a billionaire? You love Cats football? You like John Summerall? Watch some of his press conference clips, or who else could be out there that you could go get? There are coaches out there. You want to suffer through another season of this? If not, pony up some money. Write the athletic department some letters. I don't know what else to tell you. I gave my opinion. I don't think he's the guy. I've said that for quite some time. I've written some apology letters after he's seemingly figured it out. And then when we look back at what he's figured out, it's absolutely nothing. So I would like to apologize to absolutely nobody. But to get you hyped for the basketball season, here is our Chatterbox Bearcats basketball intro video. We play this after every game, and we will see you on Tuesday against the Villanova Wildcats, the number 16 team in the country. The Bearcats looking to keep their undefeated streak alive before they head into the crosstown shootout. They got to win a road game against a very, very subpar Villanova team. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend, folks.